8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Dr. Jason D.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Welcome. Happy Thursday. Dr. Jason Dean, Brave TV, your source for health, freedom, and knowledge, and a very special guest today we're going to jump right into because whenever she writes a book, I immediately go get her books. This is the latest one I have, GeoEngineering, GeoEngineered Transhumanism. But this is the thing. She doesn't just write books. Like these are textbooks. These are textbooks with citations. It's called evidence and proof. So when people call you a crazy conspiracy theorist, you go, oh, really? Well, I have the documentation. Oh, well, you could probably use some blog. No, I actually have, government documentation, the stuff that they're saying what they're doing. We just don't know it, and people don't go and read. So we just drop real data, and just like I do in pharma. Like when people are doing stupid stuff in healthcare, I just drop the pharma data. Just tell them what they're doing, and people will wake up to it much better. So I want to welcome her back, Elana Freeland. How are you, ma'am?
Hey, good to see you. I mean, you're one of the few interviewers who really has a real knowledge base, so I really appreciate it.
No, you're welcome. I mean, it's so funny. I'm still going through the previous book that you wrote, and I still go back through it because I go, you'll see something online, and I'll go, okay, let me go look and cross-reference that, because obviously a lot of times I'll do the research, but I'm like, okay, she has information. I can go see what she has. I'll cross-reference that, but then find data of my own. And then I just started looking through this one, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're not books to read. They're books to study. They're books to refer back to, I guess you could say, if that makes sense. I think that's how you meant for it, wasn't it?
Yeah, actually, now that I've written the fourth book, which of course I said that after the one you have, I would not write any more geoengineering books, but of course I have, because I have a publisher, Inner Traditions, who are very pro me, and actually came to me and asked if I could write another couple of books, one on the geoengineering that has to do with synthetic biology, and then one on synthetic biology that has to do with the geoengineering, kind of looking at it from two facets. So, of course, I just plunged right in, and I really found that by writing this book, I've gone yet another level deeper. And when I wrote the other three books, that was all a trilogy, I I was really trying to prove the case in the first two books that it even exists. Even though we've seen these chemtrails for decades, until you know what you're looking at, you don't really make it very conscious. It's sort of like, oh yeah, that's just jets,
Contrails.
commercial jets. Everybody's flying different places, no problem. But really, when you understand a little bit of chemistry and a little bit about the role of electromagnetics in this, then you realize, no, those are not contrails. Those are really chemical trails. And they are creating a cloud cover to separate us from our beloved sun and our beloved stars at night. In other words, cutting us off from the cosmos would be another way of looking at it.
Good way
and
of
I think
saying it.
that's what I'm now dedicated to is, okay, I proved my case in the first two books. If you want to see what the space fence is that I refer to, then you have to read that second book, Under an Ionized Sky.
Yep.
From Chemtrails to Space Fence Lockdown, wherein I go through the whole space fence, which is what Lockheed Martin calls it. They own the patents for it. And that space fence is what you and I probably have been calling the smart grid. And just this morning, I was looking at, checking my email, keeping up on things, and I saw something about some of what's coming down on us is the same chemical that's in the jab. So what's going on there? Now, I write about that in the book you're finishing, and then I write about it again from another angle in the book I just finished, which, by the way, the name of it, it'll be out this July. The name of it is the GeoEngineered Transhuman.
Okay.
And it's in this one that I really kind of pull the stops out and appeal more to esoteric knowledge, somewhat less to all the textbook stuff. I mean, I can refer to my books now. That's the nice thing about writing several books. You can just say, go look at this chapter, go look at this chapter. And so, you have the full gamut, because a lot of people probably think, oh, well, did you get a degree in geoengineering? Well, truthfully, there is no degree in geoengineering. Maybe now a couple of courses are coming up on the university level, but really it has not been all that. I haven't been able to do the kind of research you think someone would do in order to write a book on something where you're going and reading other people's books. There are no other people's books really on this. And certainly when I realized the synthetic biology connection to geoengineering, which really, I mean, I knew about Morgellons when I wrote the first book. I was working with Richard Particum, the scientist that was the only scientist doing all that work to collect detritus after the jets would fly over northern New Mexico. He'd collect the condensation. He was doing all sorts of Van de Graaff reads on the atmosphere. He was looking at the trails and seeing the chemical signature out the backs of these jets. And yet, do you really know what is... This is a full-scale assault. This is not just what's left over from maybe a military program or, this had some sort of intent behind it. And then when he saw the Morgellons, and I too saw the Morgellons, which is a fiber. First you see it in a filament, you see it in the environment, you've seen it. If you're a farmer, you've seen it. To take that and put it under the microscope, maybe put it in a petri dish and add some chemical agents that will help to break through the outer polymer shell to see what's inside the fiber. These are the things that you need someone who understands science and scientific method. And Clifford Clifford and I were just a really a natural pair. I'd had biology in college, but not this biology. it almost it almost has not helped me at all to have that biology background, but to be able to research on the web and pull pieces from military documents, patents, papers, conferences, all that stuff. When you start to look for what is behind this classified project, which is what geoengineering is, you may think of it as your friendly sky cleaner to keep you safe from the sun's rays, whatever that nonsense is that they say.
Right.
You don't realize that that this is classified, so classified that you cannot get the formula for the jet fuel. You cannot get it.
Really?
So, yeah, it's not available. And are the chemicals that I'm worried about in the jet fuel? Well, I'm sure some are, but not all of them. No, there's an alternate system going on the jets, and I'm often asked, is it are commercial jets involved? Yes, commercial jets have been involved in the project that I lay open in these three of the books, and that is the Project Cloverleaf. That's the one I'm going by. But if you ask me, like I was on a radio show the other day, asked me when I thought this all started, where they were trying to deliver things via aerosol, I would have to go back to World War I, which was a chemical war, totally. When the planes very new airplanes would be flying along those trenches in France, laying chemicals, killing an entire generation of youth, of European youth. That's right along these lines. And that the military is involved in this geoengineering classified program, well, that's kind of a no-brainer, isn't it? I mean, the military is always interested in controlling the weather, because the weather can mess up the best plans for battles and things like that. But now we have a new warfare that we haven't been educated in, which I call, it has probably several names, but I call it fifth generation warfare.
Yep.
And fifth generation warfare, yes, it includes kinetic weapons to a degree, but mostly now it's non-kinetic. And what that means is, wow, that just opens the floodgates on using just about anything for a weapon. And that's what I mean in the books when I say, oh, this is a dual use technology. I mean, it's military and it's used in civilian. So corporations are always interested in that kind of a weaponry, like the cell phone, the iPhone, that's a weapon system, because they can sell it as a very fancy, brilliant technology for fast downloads and all the things that civilians care about. And then it can also have that military money behind it. And that's kind of the way it's going now, is just about anything that you buy that you think is going to be, like iPads. Those are all dual use. Internet of Things, these fancy dishwashers and washing machines and
the whole house becomes a smart machine, essentially, or smart computer.
It is, and it's all weapon ready. All weapon.
What do you
ready.
mean by that, weapon ready?
Well, I was on a show recently about targeting, and
Yep.
This is something that people have a hard time believing, that our government could be behind utilizing citizens for experimentation, basically, or training agents, training people who are out watching other people, surveillance being a massive industry now with the technology to go with it. These, I would say, I mean, this is totally a guess just from the little bit of it's a few years of research, and I now am in touch with various organizations like Targeted Justice. I follow closely what they're attempting to do. They're attempting to bring it into the courts. They're attempting to produce evidence that will pass muster in order to get some justice for all of these victims of this technology. Yes, your cell phone can, I don't own one, so I can speak from on high here. Your cell phone is very much useful for a weapon system for targeting. So I do know maybe a dozen targeted individuals rather well, and I recommend always that they get rid of their cell phone. That maybe they can find a cell phone that's not connected to the internet, whereby you're making calls and getting calls and that sort of thing, but it is not connected to the internet, which means basically Internet of Things, Internet of Bodies, Internet of Nano Things. I mean, it's just now we have one that's called Internet of Medicine, which is precision medicine for diabetics and people that have health issues.
The Rand Corporation is doing a lot of work in that area.
Yes, and Rand is always, in the evil side. Always. I think the main problem for us now is that we're just not educated in this, and it's a lot of work to begin being educated because our mainstream media all lie to us all the time, and cut out whatever news they feel that we don't need to hear. So, we're facing, and then you go to university, and it's very different from when I was in university. Not that it was perfect by any means, but it was where you could learn from actual experts on the subject area that you had signed up for. Now you go into the university classroom, and you're going to get a dose of Marxism, American style, extreme left style, you might say.
Yep.
So, we're kind of stuck now. Where do we go? Well, that's the advantage of alternative news. Not that all alternative news is trustworthy. You have to have a discernment now. I mean, I think that's one of the blessings of this whole thing is that we now are going to we can't depend on the experts because a lot of them are paid off and are in bed with the corporations. In one way or another. Even medical training is certainly run by even secret societies and corporate entities. So we're going to have to develop a discernment of the truth from lies. And I, of course, am probably further ahead on that than you are because I have to go through masses and masses of documents, some of which are hearsay, some of which are very chart heavy, I could call it, graph heavy. And in order to understand what they're saying, I have to see if I can see between the lines of are they trying to make me think this way or that way? What's their MO here? So that sort of thing, that this discretionary kind of study of sources is crucial now. And it's something that if you have a TV, I've never owned one. I've always seen it as a mind control device. And I was born in 1947. So in our 50s household, which was Romanian and, secondary language being spoken there, I didn't have the TV, and I was able to stand by our very lovely radio, which had some sort of casing on it, and I was just the right height to just bend my ear for when the Lone Ranger came on Saturdays, and I looked forward to it all week long. So, and then the Shadow, that night would be the Shadow. So my imagination was free to range and roam. I wasn't conditioned to see, for example, Charlton Heston, whatever his name is, Charlton Heston,
Yeah.
whatever his name is. play Moses. I was able to create my own way of looking, and that has always remained with me because I moved around a lot as a '60s person. We were going all over the country, just as Simon and Garfunkel saying, "Oh, look for America." We were looking for America, and what we were finding was not so good. We would all discuss these things and take long walks, and we never had a lot of accoutrements or toys like today. Everybody's obsessed with having these fast movie downloads and things. I I think we need to return to some of that, not in a way of a luddite, but definitely discretionary discrimination as to what process we're being subjected to by the technology. If you think that the iPhone was not made by brilliant technicians and engineers who saw the value in making it as addictive as possible, you're not thinking very far.
It's the
You really
technology,
have.
it's the food, it's the drinks, it's everything, right?
Yes, yes. And so when you see, some people, I say it to a lot of people, you should give up your cell phone. It's a weapon system. And they think I'm, being a little aggrandizing there, but I'm really not. And I'm deadly serious because especially the apps are made with an agenda in mind. So let's cut to the chase here about the technology. And that's what I try to do in these books is to tie together what's going on in the sky, what the atmosphere that's being created that we're breathing our air from and taking it down into our bloodstream. And then from there, it's going right up to the blood-brain barrier. And because it has so much nanotechnology in it, it's able to slip right through that so easily into our brains. And so what's going up? Alzheimer's, and what's that illness that mostly children used to have? I mean, these things are increasing because of what is in the air that we're breathing in, and we have no choice but to breathe the air that the Earth has. You can't, you can go out and buy some oxygen or something, but this is assault. This is not
Agreed.
just a byproduct of the military agendas. This is very much intentional. Not everyone in the military realizes that. I know that. But the fact that Big Pharma is involved in that program, providing the chemicals for that program, and involved in the program for this program, involved in the chemicals there, uh, that's a key, and we need to learn about that. And I definitely discuss that very thing, what we share in common with what we're breathing in, the chemicals we're breathing in, with the chemicals being shot into some people's arms. So that's kind of the direction I've gone. If you'd asked me years ago when I wrote the first book, 2014, uh, I had not gotten this far. I didn't know how far this was going to go. I didn't know that this was connected to the transhuman wet dream that many of these very educated, uh, brilliant people have had for many decades, and yet we're there. And now I've gotten extremely serious about my research and writing, and I'm trying to write books that, yes, I know I'm writing books in an era that doesn't read. I understand that. You're rare, Jason, that you read.
I hear,
Uh,
that's what I hear.
yeah, yeah. When I go in a coffee shop and somebody's reading a book, I go over and I say, "What are you reading?" And I'm probably being invasive and stuff because people are so cut off from each other now. But then I'll say, it's just so rare that I see anyone reading a book. I just wanted to thank.
Yeah, no, it's
So
it's
I
funny.
make
My
a
my
deal
uh
of it.
my 10-year-old daughter, she's going through like the Nancy Drew series now, and there's like
Ooh,
there's 500 books, and I didn't even know that. And she's through 100 of them. And Elana, the crazy part is people are shocked that she's reading that much, and they go, "How is she doing that?" I go, "Because she doesn't have a cell phone, she doesn't have a tablet. Like, we have them in the house for business, but like she's not using those.
Yes.
It's a hard battle, trust me. But they don't even realize people are supposed to read still."
Exactly. In fact, I'm surprised they're not recommending you take her to a child psychologist.
Well, she's
Something
homeschooled. She's homeschooled, so she's in our world.
Oh, so why am I not surprised after being on your show with you a couple times? So yes, especially for our children, I think, I just feel like we've been sold a bill of goods about what humanity is and isn't. And I'm a student of Rudolf Steiner. He has helped me so much to see how powerful the human being is if they stick with their own free will development. That is key. And if parents do actual parenting, that's the other key. Where you have values, you take charge of things, especially technologies, even though, all the kids have it. Yeah, okay, and I had to face something with my children in that I would never take them to a McDonald's. Can we go to a McDonald's? I'd say, no, I don't feel like contributing to your sickness and death today.
You're ahead of your time.
Yes, I sort of just gave them the basics so that they would understand that I was thinking things through. I think it's very important to show children that you're really thinking things through, and you have the will to carry out what you've decided. To see flaky parents who, but they're so cute and they just love sugar. Well, so what if they love sugar? They shouldn't be having much at all. So, it's that sort of thing where we're looking now at our values, because I think more than ever, because of the last 4 years and what we have undergone. And yes, many people still do not realize, because they're turning on the 6 o'clock news, they're buying the program, they're drinking the Kool-Aid, however you want to say it, as to how what my generation called the establishment is controlling people's minds, either by satellite now, when they can read with a sophisticated EEG machine. A lot of people don't know this, so I'm going to tell you. And they can read what they call your evoked potential. They can read out anybody way down here on the earth. And that evoked potential gives them the keys to the kingdom for your mind, for your brain. And we can't help that. The technology is fully developed and fully in operation. But we can develop the discernment that sometimes we may get some thoughts or maybe dreams at night that we know are simply not us. They're not ours. We don't think those things.
Right.
We don't, it may sound like sci-fi to people, but we're already there.
Absolutely.
And so let's start consciously learning how to look at the quality, not just the quantities. Our Western science is just obsessed with quantities and measurement. But we need the soul quality. We need to be able to read things with our soul development. And of course, our culture is so materialistic that even to bring up the soul is shocking to people, because we don't think in spiritual terms anymore. So what Rudolf Steiner wanted to do was to bring the science. When he basically had a PhD in science, if you were going to look at it in our terms, and then you have spirit, and then you find a way that they can talk to each other, so that you're not caught in the gap between them. That's where Americans are. They're in a gap. You've got the very Christian people who have their way of looking, and they've made some assumptions. And then over here, you've got the very science people, and they too have made assumptions. and never shall the twain meet. Well, that kind of a split is going to be used by the power mongers, right? People who want power. The entities, even I can throw in entities, these sort of less than human, more than a wisp of air beings that seem to populate this planet. Dr. Wilhelm Reich, took pictures of them, and so I know that they exist, and I actually saw one in the air in Santa Fe when I lived there. I saw this big, long, wormy-looking thing kind of poke its head out of nothing, the sky, and watched it wiggle around and come out for a while, and then I saw it go back in. I wasn't on drugs. I'm not crazy.
Do you think they're interdimensional?
Yes, entirely interdimensional.
Okay.
And their physicality appears to not be like us in these material bodies, but appears to be plasma. It's like plasma. If you watch there are a lot of experiments going on in the sky now of plasma, but you don't know what you're looking at, because we're not being taught these things as the discoveries are made. Because the discoveries are seen as weapons to be used in the future. So you don't want people talking about it. You want them to be ooh, ah, or scared or whatever. So I know that there are many levels to this reality we live in. And for those of us who have split spirit from science, it's not that all spiritual things should be accepted as being potentially scientific. No, but some things, yes. In this latest book, I go into one of the old conspiracy theories. I go into two old conspiracy theories. One was the Philadelphia experiment.
Yes.
Which was completely a magnetism experiment and was very real, but was covered up by a lot of New Age fluff. And then the other one was the Montauk Project out on Long Island, which also was a magnetic experiment. So, to pull them back in after all these years and kind of look at, find some good stuff where people have done some research, and then do your own research, and you can write down what it appears to have been, and always leaving room for someone even brighter, even more knowledgeable, even maybe who was there still. We still have those people here, though they're getting old, who could come in and finish the job. But we really need to not buy the farm from mainstream media and the so-called experts, because they too have had their own programming, undergone their own programming. So
absolutely,
they too, as we're finding with these doctors who are slowly waking up to what the jab really was doing, 100%. That we can see that they too are on a learning curve. There is no absolute somebody here who knows all the answers, and then we'll be safe. No, it's not going to work that way.
Yeah. Have you seen
jabbering? It's like 9 a.m. I can't believe I'm going on and on and on.
Have you seen that video from, I think it was, I want to say it was several years ago, I don't know the date, the Malaysian flight video that disappeared into what looked like a wormhole?
Yeah, 370. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I actually have one of the gentlemen who was analyzing the video, probably coming on pretty soon. I reached out to him the other day. He was very happy to come on. Because he was actually on the Glenn Beck show, and Glenn was like, holy cow, like that's a wormhole. That could be interdimensional. And they were thinking maybe military technology, which brought me back to your books, obviously, of what we're looking for. But they didn't say they fully knew. But you're right. This magnetic, this electrical world, the ether, the Philadelphia experiment, Montauk, we are quickly coming into this world. And a lot of people are not ready for this. They're just not ready to have their mind go to this. Does that make sense?
No, I know. They're too programmed. If you think of technology in terms of programming, I spent 10 years on MK Ultra. So I know a lot about MK Ultra, and it is it didn't just fade into history, or, oh, the CIA burned all its papers, so it's over. Oh, no, no, no. It's alive and well. It now has turned to electromagnetics. And now that many of you have the technology that they will be using in order to do the next phase of MK Ultra, which is, I call it EMK Ultra for electromagnetic, uh, then you are more vulnerable than ever, because the programming that used to be so dependent on hypnosis, drugs, and pain induction, that would be child rape,
Like a pain
torture.
drug hypnosis.
Yeah, you had to have all of these to split the personality, shatter it would be a better word,
Right.
shatter it, and then each of those shards of your personality could then be reprogrammed for CIA business, or military DIA, defense intelligence business. So that's the old one, where you had to be around the shiny equipment in the lab or in the clinic or the hospital, and then they could put you through this and that. No, no longer. Now it can be done remotely with 5G and 6G systems. And for those who think that we don't have 6G yet, you're wrong. We definitely have 6G up and running. And it's hard to distinguish because its platform is basically 5G, but it has been amped up into the terahertz. So let's wake up and smell the coffee. This is about the future, not just about little old me staying safe in my little Pacific Northwest apartment. No, it's really about the future of humanity, and if we will even have human beings. And that's the most shocking thing that I get to with the geoengineering, I think, is that, yeah, okay, the electromagnetics is definitely part of this, but it's not the whole thing. What really is going on with the geoengineering, with the jabs, with the precision medicine, if you dig down far enough into the rabbit hole where it's all pouring out of, you will find that it is the agenda of a massive group of people who may or may not, but generally are, members of secret societies.
Yep.
Now, I don't know if everybody remembers when John Kennedy, he gave a talk. I can't remember what university he was at, but he gave a talk that's called the Secret Society
That's right.
speech.
Yep.
And that was the one in which, very much like Eisenhower going out of office, warning us of the military industrial complex with very big bold face and underlining that most Americans missed. Kennedy's speech on secret societies is very, very important, because even though some of your listeners may actually be Freemasons, may be Knights of Malta, whatever their affiliation to some of these and some of their offshoots, like to be in the Elks or in the Moose Lodge or the this or the that, if you look far enough into the papers around those smaller entities, you will see that they go straight to the Freemason Lodge. So, I've educated myself along with MK Ultra in the secret societies, because those also are not seen. And we all know the blight and massive thick blanket that the 1947 National Security Act has thrown over this republic. And we are no longer a republic. We are a controlled corporation, I'm told, by people who know much more than I do about that.
It's true.
Not hard to believe at all. And everything in America is pretty much for sale.
Did you
And
say the
everyone-
1974 Security Act? Is that what you said?
47.
47. Sorry.
1947. That's the year I was born.
47.
So I was born.
You don't look.
47.
You don't look. You can't be.
I am. I'll be 77 next month.
You look like you're 35.
But I'm a 60s person. I'm a health nut. I've
Good.
eaten organic my whole life. So anyway, this this understanding of what it means to live, try to do democracy or whatever term you want to use, freedom, whatever, uh, under the blight of the National Security Act, which allows you to lie, steal, cover it up in every single way that you, the intelligence agency, you, the military, you, various corporate partnerships, public-private partnerships, yeah, right, partnerships. So whatever you decide is well, what can I say? I'm not at all surprised we've ended up where we are. We allowed our greatest tragedies to just slip away as if there would be no problem in the future over letting it slip away. No justice, no outrage over shooting a sitting president, Martin Luther King's death, Robert Kennedy's death, even Malcolm X. I
That's
mean,
right.
you know, it's as though someone has programmed Americans to think that if they just can keep everything under the rug, then they can have the good life.
Right.
The problem is the good life will not be good, not the real good. You may think it's good, but God may have a different idea on what good is. So,
100%.
so those of us who have stood up and who have kept growing over the years, uh, it always surprises me when some of those very same people, for example, don't see the chemtrails and don't understand the massive story behind them, uh, who who have maybe become activists in a certain area, but are not connecting that area to the other areas, and are unwilling to look at things like the climb of satanic ritual abuse in our children, are because it doesn't feel good.
Right.
It's ooh, that's ooh. Well, I don't know. I thought adulthood were the people who do whatever it takes to retain the greatness of the human being. And it took me a long time to grow up because I'm an American who my mother and grandparents were Romanians, but I I myself was born here, and I had this birthright, right? This birthright of freedom, this birthright of all those magical words that took me a while to wake up and then grow up. I had to do it pretty much myself because I didn't have anyone around me to distinguish these things for me. I was beautiful. I was smart. I had, the world was my oyster. I was a 60s person, so, I had a lot of freedom. But I didn't have the deep freedom, the spiritual freedom. And that changed when I was 25. And I don't want to go into that, but I had a tremendous experience in a college classroom of all places that suddenly sent me in the right direction. So
Very nice.
I was fortunate. I was very fortunate, and not because I particularly deserved it, but I was lost.
Yeah.
I had all the wonderful things, but I was lost. And then I found myself, and then I found what it is to be an American, and what it is to come, to have the Bill of Rights, which is the only document in the world like it. So, these are things that are why we're alive. We're not here to get a new couch, to, own our home, to have a cool car. There are all sorts of material things that will want to coax us into what I call the false life. But we all get old. I'm getting old now, saying goodbye to my beauty, and yet my intelligence and my wisdom is growing and flourishing because I'm in touch with the spirit as well as my wonderful research capabilities, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wanted to give that. It seems like I probably need a church or something now because every talk I give, I've realized how people don't don't have any faith or hope, or
Yeah.
I see it all the time, and I'm like, what, are you kidding? This is a great fight, but you don't know that we're in a war, do you? You need to know. So I'm here to tell you we are in a spiritual war
That's right.
for the future of humanity. And what kind of, I mean, I don't want to be a cyborg human. I don't know about you,
No.
but I would rather be the God-given, God-created human being who finds my succor in nature, in the cosmos, in other people who are just hungering for the truth and for what is good and true and beautiful. So, I invite
100%.
everybody to join me in that.
No, I totally agree. I'm curious about something because you grew up in that era. I totally understand where you're coming from, not because I grew up in that area, but I've been around a lot of people that have been. I don't like the labels. I don't like the uniparty system. But how do you fall, if you don't mind me asking, politically in like this season? You have the Trumps of the world, you have the Bidens, you have the RFK Juniors, but you also have what you're studying, which is military runs these projects essentially. Where do you fall in that world? Because clearly spiritually you're very in tune and very aligned, but then we're also dealing with this physical world, and I don't like to get into the political stuff of it because I don't think at the end of the day our voting is, obviously the system is destroyed. However, I wish we did have a proper voting system. Where do you fall in that world? I mean, America is firmly behind Trump right now, that we can tell. But do you fall in that world? Do you stay out of that world? I mean, in crossing in your studies?
Okay, so I've only voted in 2 presidential elections in my
Okay.
life. The first one was when I turned 21, or whatever voting age is, maybe it was 18. Uh, I wanted to outrage my mother's wealthy community, so I voted for Eldridge Cleaver.
Okay.
And I saw
It was a rebel
I
vote,
saw
wasn't
that
it? It was a
vote.
rebel vote.
It was a rebel vote. And is that the word you use, rebel?
Rebellious, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, it was. He was not qualified to be a president. I knew that, and I knew that he wouldn't win. But I wanted one vote in that place where my mother, Haldeman was our neighbor. That's the kind of place I lived in, and I was not a happy camper there because the only brown or black people I ever saw were the cooks and the gardeners.
Right.
So anyway, I did that. Then all those years, I didn't vote because I didn't believe in the system. I knew it was all about money, all about wars, all about blah, blah. I just kept going. I wouldn't say I wasn't a Democrat. I wasn't a liberal. I wasn't a conservative. I just watched. I was an observer.
Yeah.
And I would be involved now and then. But when Hillary Clinton was going to run, I said, that's it. I'm voting for Trump. And I went down and I voted the second time.
You did not. You were in the feminist camp of Hillary?
No. I mean, I had done a great deal of research on the Clintons by then. I knew these were true Satanists.
Yeah.
And Bill was in the Rose Garden with me when I was 16, and we were listening to Kennedy. Both of us I had gone to Girls Nation, he had gone to Boys Nation. We were there listening to John Kennedy 4 months before he would be murdered. And Bill, I'm sure you've seen that video of him being programmed.
Mm-hmm.
It's an MK Ultra video. That is not a CGI. He was programmed. So, and Hillary was his handler. So no, it's Hillary that really. I knew it would be awful. So I prayed, and I went and voted for Donald Trump. And as soon as he came into the office, I don't know if you remember this, but the first EO he signed, and I am not for executive order presidencies, by the way. It's the way everything goes now. Anything to avoid the legislature and the mess there. So anyway, the first EO he signed was the one about preventing anyone who appears to be involved with human trafficking
Yes.
would not be able to leave the country with their assets.
Yes.
Boom. That was the very first thing he signed. And I said, hey, this guy might be real. So I began to watch him. I liked the fact that he was a bull in a china shop. I liked that, when he stood up, he had this huge bunch of U.S. Marine officers behind him. It was like, well, I'm very familiar with the deep state. I've followed it since Kennedy's assassination. I knew it was going to take one hell of a fight. In fact, a whole bunch of fights to get this deep state cancer out of America, because Americans had simply allowed it to fester and grow and grow and grow. Nobody did anything. It's been horrible to witness how not very seriously Americans take things. They would probably sell their grandmother for comfort and convenience. It's low. It's not where I live in my high ideals. It was a vast disappointment to me. But anyway, now there is movement to eradicate, to pull out that horrible. I won't even call it a virus. It's far beyond a virus. And I definitely want that. I want that so badly. And at the same time, boom, here comes the jab that begins the first transhuman race. That's what it means. It was the software going in to all those computer parts that are in the blood. These microscopy people are taking pictures.
That's right.
You better see them. There's a lot of very tiny computers in us, in all of us, because we're all breathing, right, from the chemical trails that some people say don't exist. So that's where we're at. And once I realized that, wow, we may not even have a human race that owns its own evolution of consciousness. And I'm a big believer in the evolution of consciousness.
Agreed.
When Jesus said, you shall say to this mountain, move, and it shall move. He wasn't joking, and he wasn't aggrandizing. But look at us. We act like peons. We don't have any confidence in our humanity, in the divinity of our humanity. So to me, that's what I'm all about, and I have no apology for it. I am definitely the type of human being that this country needs. And I simply took a path, the road less taken, as Robert Frost, the national poet, said once, that I've taken the road less traveled because that's where the truth is. It's not in marching in straight lines. And it's not in joining this church or that fraternal organization or that corporation. No, it's not there. I can save you the time. You're going to have to take the road less taken, which has to do with your own individuality. That's the way to go. And that will lead you to exactly what you need to be doing while you're here on the earth.
That makes sense. Before I let you go, I'm curious because you mentioned something that I find fascinating. You talked about mind control. And I was watching a movie probably a year or so ago. It was like a kid's movie. And there was a little inventor, little kid inventor in the movie. And he basically learned, he could get so he could understand what his dog was saying, basically. And they used like a little helmet to put on. And basically was reading minds. But then I was like, I think we already have something, or they wouldn't put this in a movie, obviously. And so I started looking something up and I lost it. I can't find it. But they talked about Alexander Graham Bell actually figuring out, I don't know if they perfected it, but they could kind of read the electrical impulses of the brain and potentially put it into mind reading. You talked about a little bit about this earlier about mind reading tech. Do you know what that is? Have you come across a project or technology on what they're doing with that yet? Or because I mean, I'm pretty convinced, based on even just social media, sometimes you won't say something out loud, but you'll be thinking something, and that stuff will pop up in front of you. Do you know anything on that subject?
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying regarding that evoked potential.
Okay.
That they have special EEG machines that are on some of the satellites above. As you know, we have, well, we will have, we don't have 100,000 up yet, but we will very shortly. 100,000 satellites up. What a traffic jam that must be. So then on some of those, they have this capability to beam down to you, and this would be a plasma beam, by the way. This is not just a radio frequency beam.
Okay.
This would be a plasma beam coming down, and it will penetrate the frequencies around your head, because we all have frequencies around our head, not just in our head, and then it will read out the frequency that is you, so that they could find you anywhere on the planet, anytime. Now, that's the very same frequency that they can then employ the Internet of Things in your home, the 60 hertz in the walls, all the gewgaws, like, computers, iPhones, iPads, etc. Use those to pull the power from those, so that now they can just go straight in to your brain, any place they want. Your verbal center. I was hit on Christmas very badly, and it was them, the guys that have access to that fancy equipment, that basically took my language center and made my speech gobbledygook. I couldn't put the words in the right order or anything, and took away my chronology, so that I thought it was weeks later, but it was Christmas. So I had to sit down that day and put everything back together, and do it very consciously. No way am I going to a doctor, obviously. No way. There's nobody I can call to do this. So I do what I do. And that they're doing what you're saying. You see it in a kid's movie, that's pre-programming.
Correct.
But it's been done now, I would say, since 1970. But it's gotten better and better and better and better.
Yeah,
it
and
could
now
be in any of our heads, anytime.
the
Just
technology they're unleashing now just on kids alone is insane.
Well, and that's why I say discernment, my friends, not just intellect, discernment. Is this true? Is this from me? Is this my thought? Or is this being piped into me? That thing that happened to me at Christmas was very clear. And I even found a signature in the bed that something had left, which was my hair was, a swath of my hair out of my skull was all corkscrewed, as if it had been electrically zapped. So, but I was fine. After I put everything back together, I was fine. And one goes on, because, I serve God, and God will decide how long I'll be here. So might as well just give it everything I've got.
You're in one hell of a battle, ma'am.
I know. I'm quite a warrior, though.
Of course you are. Where's the best place to find you so people can look you up?
Well, there's my website, elanafreeland.com. I don't use it anymore, but you can see how it has gone, how I have arrived where I have. You'll get that, and there's a lot of interesting things there. elanafreeland.com. And then I will be making a, whatever that's called, where I can comment on things. I'll be doing that when I have a moment to do that.
Okay.
And for buying the books, I know you can get them on Amazon, but truthfully, please support a very tiny bookstore out of the backyard of someone called the Rudolf Steiner Bookstore.
Yep.
He carries everything I've written, and you can get everything there. And particularly the book you're reading, I don't know if your illustrations are colored or black and white. The Amazon only offers the black and white. The color version is he carries the color version. So, but that's about $15 more than the Amazon version.
So there's the Rudolf Steiner bookstore.
Yeah.
All the books right there. So definitely, I
But
think
see,
that's
there it includes my series. I don't know, you and I haven't discussed that, Jason. That's my Sub Rosa America,
Oh.
A Deep State History. That is a fictional series. I think it's probably the best writing I've ever done.
really.
And it is it's 4 books, 1,300 pages, about America since Kennedy's assassination, basically.
Oh, well, we're gonna have
Oh
to
yeah,
bring you
you'd have
back to
fun
just
with
go over
that.
that. I think that would be a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, we'll schedule that later to have you come back and talk about that. That's really fascinating. Your work is amazing, ma'am. I mean, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they're binders. These are textbooks. These are reference points. These are not, and anybody who knows that, who's been to academics like us, not to say academic is the ruling word of life, but
Yeah.
to have your cited resources to be able to go on
Yeah,
to
you
these, look these
appreciate
up,
it. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
important because there's a lot of people, a lot of opinions today, ma'am, and opinions are worth, only so much.
Well, the books, 2 of the books, that one and then another one, are in 3 languages other than English and in Europe. And as a result, where I'm really appreciated because they know how I'm writing about Tesla technology and how much they're so happy I am. In those Slavic countries, they have these my books in science in technology colleges that they recommend students as supplementary reading from their own bookstores. So the people in Europe are more awake in this way than the people in America, and I do appreciate them very much.
I love that. I love that. Thank you again so much for all that you do. Much appreciation to your knowledge and where you are. And man, just keep pumping these books out. This is information people need. And then quite honestly, I'll tell you what I do. And I could do it more, but I'll go through the book and I'll find something that just kind of like tunes into me for that day. And I will go find something out of the book and I'll either post something out of the book with credit given to you or go look something up off of that and then put some stuff together to post out to social media so we can at least get some more of this information out, if that makes sense.
Right, and that reminds me, Jason, just so people know, I'm not a fan of social media. I know how controlled it is, but I do have 2 sites that I put commentary with various articles of the day up on, and that is one on Facebook, they still allow me, called EMF Planetary Engineering, and that you have to ask permission to join that. And then the other one is gab.com because it's free and has a very different clientele than Facebook, I've noticed. I post there as well at GeoEngineered Transhumanism. So those 2 places, those are some of the commentary is quite valuable, and I like how it just sort of cycles and remains. It's not gone. I use it as a kind of place to store stuff, actually, my comments.
I love it. That's fantastic. Everybody go check that out. Ma'am, thank you so much for your time. I'll end the show, but I'll catch up with you on the back end just in a few minutes, so hang with me. Everybody, when I say every day that we're trying to reverse metabolic enslavement, because it's not metabolic syndrome. Humans are not designed to get sick. They're not designed to be ill. They're not designed to be diseased. What she's talking about is exactly what we mean, whether it's vaccines that are bioweapons or it's literally just the stuff that they're putting in the sky, the water, the land, the air, etc. This creates that metabolic enslavement, which suppresses the soul, the mind, and consciousness, which actually pushes us down. This is what we're trying to defeat. So that's why we're trying to defeat this and literally create a new civilization. That's what we're doing. So everybody, as always, love, help, and serve. This is Thursday. It's Dr. Jason Dean, Elana Freeland. We appreciate you so much. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.